in the fourth and fifth?
I think that our mentality kind of changed. We were playing pretty timid throughout the first three sets, and once the fourth set started, we were just kind of had the mentality of we have nothing to lose at this point, so we might as well just go hard, and that's what we did, and then obviously it panned out.
You know, we talked through the year about how the experience on this team is so beneficial. Your personal experience, having been in that situation before in a tight match, how does that carry you through in some of these instances?
It's definitely helped being a fifth year now and experiencing a lot of stressful matches. And I think it can help other people also, like some of the younger girls that came in, Allie Hornung, Maddie Skimmerhorn, just to kind of have the leadership on the court that's been through this before and just keeping it calm and cool. And it's definitely helpful having 4 or 5 other seniors on the court as well, because we've all been there and know how it goes.
Speaking of experience, you're one of the players that's been through this grind before, but some of these players haven't.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do, or what do you say to them now to make sure that they stay on a constant level as you go through this week after week?
I think just trying to keep it positive and just positive reinforcement with everything. If they make a mistake, just keeping them positive and knowing that it's going to be okay. Everybody makes mistakes and it's not the end of the world, and just keeping their heads up and their confidence up is really helpful.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You guys had a tough loss at Ohio State, and you come right back at home and you beat them in 5. How does it feel, good or bad, that you're taking these top-ranked teams to 5 sets rather than just getting it done 3 or 4?
Well, we know that it's not going to be easy. We never thought that we'd probably sweep every team that we played. The Big Ten is so good this year, and you can really go to 5 sets with anybody. And our mindset is just to focus on every point at a time, and we just ended up going to 5 yesterday, but we're pretty good at 5-set matches, so it was all good.
I believe it was 26 kills yesterday with only 4 errors. You go to bed feeling good about yourself. What's the first thing that comes in your head when you wake up this morning, knowing you have a game on Wednesday?
Focusing on the game. Dave always says, feel good about the win that night, but when you wake up the next day, you got to focus on the next game. So, yep.
Caitlyn, first of all, I want to ask about something semi-related. Davis talked about how they're using analytics more and the radar guns on serving. How much does that help as a player to kind of have that information, that data that you can look at and say, okay, I am doing better, I am serving harder, or whatever it is?
It is actually really nice. Just like knowing how fast you need to serve to make sure that the ball is going to be in, but it's also tough. So going through practice, we work on serving a lot, and we always have someone back there with the radar gun just screaming out how fast you're serving. But it's definitely helped. It's made us more aggressive, and our coaches are wanting us to be aggressive, so they're more lenient with errors. But having that has been really helpful.
Tell me about the transition when you were in Terre Haute and you come here and you've been an impact player, a go-to player your whole life, and not that you weren't getting opportunities early, but it's been more and more throughout the years. Kind of transitioning from I am the player to I am a role player on a team full of players that were as good as me at high school level.
I mean, it's really exciting. It really is. I love playing here, and being able to play in the Big Ten has always been a dream of mine, and getting to play the Penn States, Nebraskas, and beating them, and it's unreal, and I love this team so much, and we've grown so much throughout the past 5 years, and I'm so happy I chose to be here.
Do you feel now like, especially after the weekend that you had, that's more like when I was in high school where I'm getting 40, 50 sets?
Yeah, definitely. High school's a little different, but now that we're here, I'm willing to do whatever for this team, and if I have to be set 50 times or whatever in a game, I'll do my best.
When you were being recruited, was that the talk, is you're going to be an impact player here?
I don't even remember, honestly. It was so long ago. I know that I wanted to be, and Dave definitely had a lot of trust in me, and he believed in me, and they've put a lot of time into developing me as a player, which has benefited a lot for myself and the team. So maybe, yeah.
I think maybe last year, 2 years ago, you said obviously the talent level in Terre Haute isn't as strong as it is in some other places, but when you get on a team like this and you know I might have 26 kills one night and 5 the next night, how much fun is it to play on a team with that much balance where you know I don't have to be relied on every single night to get a victory?
It's amazing. It really is. There's a lot less stress because I trust everybody on this team. I know anybody could come into the game and they would do great. And that's just such an amazing thing to have on a team. It's just so many talented players, and it's really helpful, and it's a lot of stress release.
When you and Jenna decided to come back, obviously you did that with big goals in mind, but do you kind of have to block that out and be like, okay, now it's to focus on this next goal? Because if we start thinking of, you know, we need validation for our coming back this year, we're not going to have the performance we do. When do you kind of flip that switch and be like, okay, maybe we didn't expect to have this season, but we're here now and it's all in?
Yeah, I mean, once we decided that we were coming back, we were focused on this team and just what we wanted to accomplish, and that starts with each and every game. So every time we go into a game, we're fully invested and focused on winning, and that'll take us where we want to go.
I think David said at one point that when he talked to both of you, there was no guarantee that you were going to have the same spot. You had to come back and earn it. So, you know, I think based on what you'd done in the past, you probably assume that's my position. But tell me about coming in and some hungry players that thought, you know, this is going to be my year, my chance to get on the court a little bit more, and not like stealing their spot back or whatever, but just kind of going out and reproving yourself as a fifth year.
Yeah, I've definitely thought about that before coming back, because there's the 3 junior outsides, obviously, that have been wanting to play more, and I was completely open to them playing if they deserve the spot or if they earn the spot, and I came in and just played how I played, and I eventually got the spot. But I know if any of them came in for me, if ever needed or anything, they would do an amazing job.
That's all I had.
All set? All right. Thanks, Caitlyn.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll get started with an opening statement, and then we'll start with Sam for questions.
Okay, thanks, Rachel. Nice to see everybody this morning. What a great weekend for Purdue athletics, and let's just keep it going. We had 2 really tough matches this weekend. Friday at Ohio State at the Covelli Center, great place to play, and then here with Penn State on Sunday. Both Ohio State and Penn State are really hard to score points against, and so I think that at times we looked really average offensively, looked worse than average in the second set yesterday, to be honest, maybe the worst set we've played in 19 years. But a lot of that has to do with who you're playing, and I think that both those teams challenged us, and at times we responded pretty well, but I think in the long run, you just get better. You find ways to make changes, make adjustments, and we'll get back to the drawing board tomorrow. This is a day off for us, but we will get back to the drawing board tomorrow and make some adjustments. I think so much of what we do in practice is more about Purdue than it is about our next opponent, which will be Michigan State on Wednesday. But at the same time, you've got to prepare for a really talented team. Michigan State is, I think 2-6 in the Big Ten, but they've played a really heavy schedule. And as I watched them last night and through this morning, they have really, really talented players. And I know you think that's just what coaches are going to say. Come to the match and find out. They are really, really talented, have some really good offensive players, a great setter, and I think it's just a matter of time before they start to win at a higher percentage, even in our league, because I think that they have that kind of talent. So we are going to be working as hard as we can as a staff and as a team to get ready for them, but at the same time make ourselves better, because we found out some things that we need to continue to improve on. So Sam, ready for you.
We'll start with Caitlyn and the weekend that she had. Clearly, she's had great weekends, but did she kind of go next level and elevate her game to get you through, try to get you through that Ohio State match, and then clearly get you through that Penn State match?
Well, she's just consistently improved from the time that she got here. Not a highly touted recruit coming out of Terre Haute. I think Indiana offered her from the Big Ten. That was it. We were thrilled to get her because, you know, we saw something unique in her, mostly an arm that could just hit the crap out of the ball, and you just don't see enough of those in women's volleyball. So we felt like she had some toughness and a real stubbornness about her, which at times has made it difficult to get through to her on some things, but it also makes her very competitive. And but yeah, she was, I mean, we jumped on her back on Sunday. Without her, that match is over early, probably in 4 sets if we even get it to the 4th set. But she, you know, she's a confident young woman that believes in what she's doing right now, and you know, she was quite a bit that way the last couple of years, but just so much more calm and mature in how she operates on a daily basis. You could hear that in her press conference, the little bit that I heard when she was talking. Just she used to hate and still doesn't like to get in front of people and talk, but you know, she's really showing great composure in how she does that. But yeah, she was huge for us yesterday, and we don't win that match without her.
Talk about her stubbornness, and I think when she was in club and in high school, she could hit the crap out of the ball, and that was enough. Did you kind of have to teach her as a freshman, you know, you're going to have to be smarter about your shots, you know, take something off here or there, and be more, I guess, balanced? With the
Yeah, she doesn't like to get out of her wheelhouse a lot. And one of the things that we did all last week was talk to her about hitting shots that she doesn't feel as good about, because teams are going to take the shot that, you know, she's in love with away from her. And she can hit all the shots. It's not that she can't hit them, it's just she doesn't like to make errors. And sometimes when you try new things and you, instead of hitting the ball into the meat of the court, you're trying to hit sharp inside, or you're trying to hit the line shot, you open yourself up for, you know, more errors that way. So really important that she's willing to make a few errors. Obviously, her numbers from Sunday were remarkable, 26 kills and only 4 errors in how many swings? 50-some? 63 swings, only 4 errors. So I know she's proud of that, but I'm willing to see a few more errors for her to spread the court out and make it more difficult on the defense. So we're continuing that saga, I guess, okay, to try to get her to understand there's more that she can do to become even a better player, to take us to a new level.
To come back from a loss and get a huge win when, you know, at times maybe it didn't look like that was going to be a victory on Sunday, how, I guess, important is it that you don't stack up losses? You know, if you lose, you turn around and win, especially when you, at the end of the season, want to be in the mix for that Big Ten championship, that, you know, you don't have a losing streak per se.
Well, I mean, to be in the hunt for the Big Ten championship, you can't lose a lot of matches, period, yet alone a series of them in a row. But what I like to do to be able to maintain my mental health and for the team to do the same thing is just look at one match. You know, I'm not thinking, I mean, obviously we're going to prepare for Nebraska later on this week, but our focus is strictly on Michigan State. And I don't even know what the schedule is beyond that. I really couldn't tell you. I mean, I know I got to play Wisconsin at some point in time because we're playing them twice. So they've got to be on the docket somewhere. But what I know is that we're good when we prepare for one team at a time, and I can actually get some sleep at night if I do that. And I'm not on any drugs right now, which is a good thing. I'm just trying to just manage the season the best I can. And I know the team is in a similar situation. You know, they'll get worked up too. They're a lot better about it than coaches. But we're going to get ready for Michigan State, and we're going to be as prepared as we can to play them. And then when that match is over, then we'll get ready for whoever is next. I don't know if that answers your question or not. Yeah, sorry.
How
Hey,
do you
JD.
prepare? Yeah, how do you prepare for Michigan State, a team that you guys didn't play last year because of the pandemic? So your preparation, I'm sure, for a lot of Big Ten opponents has been what you faced last year. How do you prepare for Michigan State?
Well, they're a lot different team. You know, a lot of personnel hasn't changed a lot in the Big Ten. You know, when you look at some of these teams we've played, especially recently, it's like we're playing the same team we played a year ago. Michigan State had some people graduate or leave or whatever else, that they've got a little bit different clientele on their roster. So you had to kind of start fresh anyway. It is harder. You know, you've got to do a lot more studying of tape and figure out some players, what their hitting mechanics are like, what their shot selection is, what they prefer to do, who does their setter like to get the ball to in each particular rotation. What's their serve receive look like? You know, who are their best servers and where do they like to serve the ball to, and all those kinds of things. So it takes time, but we have a really good staff in doing the research and preparing our team. So I feel comfortable with that. I heard Caitlyn talk about how confident she is in her teammates. I have that same kind of confidence in our staff, that everybody kind of has a responsibility and they understand that. So, you know, we haven't had a lot of conversation yet, but there's a lot of texting going back and forth already about who they are. And then we kind of start feeding that to our team a little bit as the days go on, so that we're not waiting until tomorrow, because this is a day off, not waiting until tomorrow at 4 o'clock to start giving them information about Michigan State, because they need, in my opinion, it's a process. And you need to start getting that information to people. And luckily they have access to watching every match that Michigan State has played, broken down to where they can watch the same things that we're watching on their own laptop computer.
Sure. This is kind of a strange question about high school volleyball, but high school
Okay.
volleyball is entering the regional round this weekend. I was wondering if you could offer advice as a college coach and a former high school coach to some of the younger area athletes competing in the regional this weekend.
Yeah, I coached high school volleyball
Yeah.
for like 23 years, I think, and what an exciting time this is. And you feel bad for those teams that have, you know, bowed out of the season, because, you know, this is when it's really fun, and they work so hard to get to this point. I think be prepared. You know, just make sure that you're as prepared as you can be. I always look at, you know, I wasn't always good at taking tests in college or high school. But when you're prepared, there's a lot less stress and a lot more room for error than when you're not, just like when you're taking a final exam. And I think as you get to the regional and semi-state and on down the road, being prepared and making sure you believe that your entire team is prepared is really important. I think not to get caught up in what might happen next, but just play for the moment and enjoy the opportunity to be with your team. You have to, coaches can get really stressed out. Players should never be stressed out. Players should just love every moment and just go play. And so I think that's, you know, no fear. Play with no fear. Just go out and enjoy the moment and love your teammates and see how well you can possibly play on that particular day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
With JL out, you had to play Raven and Taylor yesterday. Raven struggled at times, but then made some big plays. Did you learn anything about her this weekend that you didn't know?
Well, I learned that Horde is a heck of a player for Penn State, who was across the net from both those middles. What a great learning experience for both Raven and Taylor to have to play against that type of a player. We haven't seen a better athlete all season than Horde. She was just phenomenal yesterday, and we were selling out on her, and she was still nearly unstoppable. So I think in both matches, Tim, at Ohio State, where they've got two really good middles that are fast, and then yesterday, Raven and Taylor, but certainly Raven, who's only really played in about 5 or 6 big-time matches, learned the speed of the game and the complexity of the match. One thing that hurt us yesterday, besides Horde in the middle, just jumping over the top of us and hitting some really sharp angles. You've also got Parker running around back there. That was a real nemesis for us. I thought she had one of her best matches of the season, which is on her or on us, one or both. We didn't do nearly as good of a job on her as we probably need to do, but we were focused so much on their middle when Horde was up there. So I don't think I learned anything more than what I already thought about Raven. She's a great competitor. She's a high character, hardworking kid that still has a lot to learn about the position. Things that J.L. Johnson would automatically recognize and see and adjust and be able to do, it might take Raven 2.5 sets to kind of figure some of those things out. Penn State's very well coached, and they do things to make it difficult on you. Their blockers were 6'4" and 6'3", with really athletic players and a great defense, so it was hard for Raven to score points. So I think you have to learn what shots are going to score for you. And the same shot that might have scored 2 weeks ago wasn't going to score yesterday. So I think that, you learn a little bit as you go. But I'd say Raven's on schedule. She's stepped up really big in some big matches.
All right, the only other one I've got, somebody asked me yesterday, and I promised I would ask you, why do volleyball players stand during the entire match?
Well, maybe the question is, why don't the other teams do that? When I get up off the couch after watching a game or halfway through the game, I don't feel like I could run in and play in the game. I think they stand up to try to stay a little looser, stay a little more fresh, a little more ready down there. It's a good question, to be honest with you. It's just become a tradition. You don't do that in high school. I mean, high school, they make you sit down. You can't stand up in high school. But college, I just think they feel like they'd rather be up moving around and as opposed to sitting down. I feel the same way. I like to sit down, but when I try, I'm there for about 10 seconds, and I've got to get back up and let loose of some of the energy that I've got, I guess. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you for your time today, Dave.
Yes.
This team has had a lot of success already this season, a couple losses through adversity, but you've talked about making tough decisions when it comes to your player personnel. Is there any kind of, ill will towards not playing that the winning kind of masks over, or is it all a shared love of the entire team between your players?
Rephrase that for me.
So some of your more experienced juniors have taken a red shirt because of Jenna and Caitlyn coming back. Is there any kind of feeling of being kind of passed over?
I don't think so. And we're not. None of those juniors are redshirting. We're redshirting. We hope to redshirt some of our younger players, but not anybody that would be in the junior class. I feel pretty good about the camaraderie and the cohesiveness on this team. It's something that they have worked really hard on to maintain. Everybody wants to play. We got put in a situation where we were going to have a large roster to begin with, and then when the NCAA allowed fifth-year players to return, I felt like we were very fortunate that we had our 2 graduating kids that wanted to come back and play, and that's worked out very well for everybody, in my opinion. Whether our younger players totally recognize that or not, but to learn from Jenna Otek what work ethic is about, what being in the gym extra, love for the game, what Caitlyn Newton's continual development has been like, have been pretty good role models for our younger players. Everybody would like to play a little bit more. We're jammed up in that left side position a little bit right now, and we thought this year it would open up some more. But for Emma Ellis and Maddie Cook and Maddie Chin, I couldn't ask for better people. And that's one area we're jammed up. And then we've got great defensive players. So you're looking at players like Emma Terwilliger, who did get in and play a little bit because Mo was hurt. And so this past weekend, Emma got opportunity to serve and play a little bit of defense. Ava Torrance, who's a junior, has been playing tremendous volleyball for us and had an opportunity against Iowa to play quite a bit and was great, but hasn't played since then. It's just the way it works. And Savannah Chacon is also developing. She's a sophomore from the state of Indiana. And those three could all be playing at some different places, you know, if that's what they wanted to do. But when they came to Purdue, they knew it was going to be a challenge, and it would take time. And so I feel like I give our players a ton of credit. This current senior class is exceptional on the intangibles. They're great teammates. Mo Horning, J.L. Johnson, Grace Cleveland, Haley Bush is in that class, Emma Terwilliger. Those guys atone with the help of those veteran players that, you know, Caitlyn and Jenna, but it's still the seniors team. And I think they've done a really good job of helping everybody understand that this is the way it's going to have to be if we want to be successful. And we're not the only team in that situation. Wisconsin, Penn State, Ohio State, all have people that it could normally might be starting, but this year they're not because of returning players.
And then the last one for me, Purdue Athletics has had a lot of success into this fall season, and then men's basketball coming up. I think I saw you at the open practice the other day. If I'm mistaken, I apologize. But do you feel that there's an energy because of just COVID's gone and fans are back? Is it just part of the success that has been built up through these teams over the years?
Yeah, I mean, my opinion on that would be that it's a combination of both. I think fans, especially young fans, I still think some of our older generation is being cautious about, you know, getting out too much and around a lot of people. But in general, people want to be doing something. And I think Purdue does a tremendous job of putting on a show at these events. Big Ten in general will do that. They realize the value of putting work into it and making it special. In volleyball, we have a venue and a show that I think is really neat. And our student fans are part of the show. The block party is absolutely part of the show in our gym. But just as in basketball, when we get to that point in time, the paint crew just makes that place extremely special. So I think it's a combination of the fact that there's an excitement just to be doing anything besides watching TV at home, and the fact that our teams are encouraging this year, and they like our players. How can you not like David Bell, Aiden O'Connell? How can you not like those two guys? And then you look at our basketball programs and all across the board, and then soccer. In a year where I think Drew Rolfe really needed to put together a great team, he's put together a great team. He's found some people that can do some things they hadn't done in the past, and you know, it's just fun. So I think across the board, we provide an opportunity for people to enjoy getting out and doing something that they haven't been able to do for 18 months. Yeah.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay. Thank you very much. Hopefully we'll